This example, we will see can we produce times table in assembly language. So we will multiply each element of a double word array by a constant value. So this example, we didn't finish to produce all the times table. Instead, we only show you one row. So then we will see here for times table, usually we have 9 times 9. So that's why we have the array here. We have the array data type is D word. So we found 1 to 10. So this time we do 1 to 10. So if you know the times table, we start from the number 1 to 10. So then we will multiply by 1. So then we print out the second column. So then we multiply 2. So then we have the second, that's the second row. So this one we're just using the multiplier 10, for example. So if I want to produce the multiply 10 in the row, so then we will do each one multiply 10. So then we print it out. So when we're using the mode instruction for the times table, if you remember in assembly language, when we do the mode instruction, we will have our EAX as the original value. So then we can multiply the multiplier, then we update the EAX in the, or update the product into the EAX. So that's why you can see EAX always have the value we will store. And also in our load instruction and the store instruction we talked about earlier, you see we have the load instruction and the store instruction. So the load instruction actually is we were using the ESI value we read from the array. So then we will load that into the ALAX or EAX. So that's the EAX we need, right? So that's why if I want to continue to using the each data from the array to save in EAX, so that's why we need to always using the ESI pointing to that array. So then I load that into the EAX. So on the other hand, after I do this, so the first thing I need to load SD. So I load from the array. So then every time I multiply by the same multiplier, so then they will update the EAX with the product. So then if I want to update the EAX value back to the array, right? So if you remember, we use the store. So if you have the value from the AX or EAX, so you want to store into the array one by one. So then we can have that array pointing by the EDI. So then we can update the array data. So that's why we have the example, we do the load and the store in the same loop. So then we can see how we will multiply the product value one by one. Okay, so that's prepared for our data. So when we prepare for our data, we will have our ESI actually from the array. So the ESI is from the source, load to the EAX. So then actually I also still need the EDI also pointing to that array. So that's why here the ESI moved to the EDI. But EDI actually is the destination. So that means is I want to store the data from EAX to the EDI. So then here, no matter we use a repeat or for loop, we need to have our ECX. So this time actually, because we need to do every time I need to load from ESI to EAX, I need to multiply, I need to update the data back to the array. So that's why I have multiple instructions I need to do. So I cannot use a repeat. So this one we will back to our the loop. So that's why we have the L1. So then you can download this example you will run. But do we have anything displayed? Right, so if you try to run this program, you kind of correct the load from the array 1 to 10 to EAX. So I multiply one by one. So then I will, after I done, I update the value back to the array. But it looks fine. At the end, they will become 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 to 100. but I didn't see they are correct or wrong. So that's why here in this program after you run, we didn't see anything. So what should I display to really show my array data, kind of like times table they changed? Right, so the first thing here, actually after we load, we can display our EAX, right? So that's why here we can call write that. So that's why here we can display when we read from the array one by one, then we can have our display on the console. So then after we multiply, so then the same thing here, we will have the value actually in EAX. So then the same thing I call write that. So then they will have the result again. So actually this one, do you want to store back to EDI? Actually that's up to you, depends on how we want to do. But after you do that, so after we add write DAX in the loop, so then actually that's why you see the output. So then also one thing is, right, we also need to add the new string. So we need to add the new line. So that's why they can separate into the next line. But unfortunately, you only can see, yeah, you have 1 times 10 become 10, 2 times 10 become 20. So then one thing is, the bad thing is we don't have space. So of course, that's your turn now. If I really want to have a times table, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 to 10. So then I want to multiply 1, 2, 3, 4 to 10 one by one like that. Okay, so how should we do that? So actually that's your turn to modify this, the mode.asm file, to see can you really produce your times table. So that's your discussion with your teammate.